I'm Faye. I work with my colleague Shigeo every Friday, campaigning for justice for the victims of the nuclear disaster at Fukushima, and a long-term campaigner against nuclear weapons. Currently campaigning for the UN ban on nuclear weapons, and as you see, one of the few but noisy members of Cat Lovers Against the Bomb.
Oyez! 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 Citizens of London and visitors to our city, draw near and hearken to these words. Tomorrow, the United Nations meet in New York to begin to negotiate a treaty to outlaw nuclear weapons, a treaty to ban the bomb.
Weapons, a treaty to ban the bomb. Why is this such good news? Because nuclear weapons are illegal and immoral weapons of mass destruction. When a treaty is adopted, then nuclear weapons join other weapons of mass destruction, biological weapons, chemical weapons, in being recognised as illegal. This is an event of huge importance to everyone on the planet. There are 193 states in the United Nations. Only 9 of them possess nuclear weapons. A United Nations ban will greatly help the case for worldwide nuclear disarmament. Disarm! Disarm! Disarm!
Why is this such good news? Because nuclear weapons are illegal and immoral weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, hi, my name is Anne Kobayashi. I live in Wickford, Essex. I'm a member of CND and also of Trident Ploughshares, which is organising this protest and wake-up call to people about the global ban on nuclear weapons talks, which are happening at the UN and which 122 countries voted in favour of. Unfortunately, our country, the UK, decided not to be there, and so there's an empty chair, and we're asking people to take these leaflets and to wake up, talk to their MPs and ask, why is the UK government not represented officially? Labour Party did send an official observer, but we have nobody from our government, and they're talking quite a lot for years. Different governments of various complexions have talked about multilateral disarmament being the way forward to get rid of these weapons of mass destruction. This is a real chance, because this is a multilateral negotiation, and yet the UK government has decided to absent itself. And therefore I'm here. I've been a member of CND for a very long time. I've been a member of Trident Ploughshares since the 1990s, and I've taken part in blockades at Aldermaston, Fastlane, and also protests in Japan and other countries, France. And I feel that people talk about what's the point of protest, but it has to complement any ongoing work that's being done, like in the United Nations at the moment, because unless we make our presence visible on the streets, the mainstream media do not cover these sort of stories. They do not acknowledge the fact that the majority of the British population is against having nuclear weapons and thinks it's a complete waste of time to have these weapons when we have so many other areas which need funding, like schools and health and roads and various other worthy causes like the arts, science and culture, and yet we are plunging up to £210 billion on the replacement of a Trident nuclear weapon system. This is a complete absurdity, and we need to get rid of it. So this is a chance, and we're alerting people in the BBC, in and around the BBC where we are now, because the BBC has joined its other media in not covering this development, this really positive development by a number of countries across the world. That's it. Thank you.
I am Shigeo Kobayashi. I am Japanese living in UK. I have been working to demonstrate against nuclear power particularly. Every Friday we go to Japanese embassy and the TEPCO, Tokyo Electric Power Company, which is responsible for the accident at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. I also very much against nuclear weapons, and this year, end of March for 1 week, I took around 2 Japanese hibakusha UK tour, which started in London, then Edinburgh, Glasgow, Manchester and Oxford. We visited and we talked, gave speech and mixed with the people and so on. So this occasion today is particularly important for nuclear international ban, which is happening today, tomorrow at the UN in New York. This is the final negotiation and they are going to settle all sentences. So I hope things go well against nuclear weapons. Thank you.
My name is Chris Gwyntopher. I'm a supporter of Trident Ploughshares. We're committed to non-violently disarm Britain's nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapons are weapons of mass destruction. You can ask the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki about that. And those weapons were much less powerful than the warheads on the Trident missiles, which the UK have on trigger alert now. We have threatened President al-Assad with both legal sanctions and also military sanctions for using chemical weapons, but we have nuclear weapons which are actually even more destructive. I have no sanction for the use of chemical weapons, but nuclear weapons are even more destructive than the chemical weapons that he's used on some of his own people. If we want to persuade North Korea, who interestingly are supporting this UN negotiation to ban nuclear weapons, to actually get rid of them, we need to set a good example. Unfortunately, the president of North Korea can say, well, you think you need those things, why can't we have them? So we need to actually carry out the obligations we accepted under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which was that the nuclear powers would, over a period of time, get rid of their own nuclear weapons. And we haven't done that, we've done the opposite. We're actually investing in a new generation of nuclear weapons to replace the Trident missile system. The main objection to nuclear weapons is, as I say, that they're weapons of mass destruction. There's no way you can argue that you're not killing innocent people, however you define innocent, if you're prepared to use nuclear weapons. And the deterrent theory means that you must at some point, in principle, be prepared to use them, otherwise it's nonsense, it's a lie.
So why is England so afraid to get rid of nuclear weapons?
I fear it's partly about prestige. It secures the United Kingdom a seat on the UN Security Council. Though I don't think we'd lose it if we got rid of nuclear weapons. We might be regarded as a good example. So that's part of it. There's obviously considerable financial interest because it's an extremely expensive weapon system. It's reckoned that Trident replacement could cost £200 billion. Well, that's a lot of money for Lockheed Martin and British Aerospace and the other weapons companies that are involved, so that's part of it. And it's this myth that somehow it protects our security. For most of the threats to the UK security, whether you're talking about terrorism or catastrophic climate change, nuclear weapons are either irrelevant or actually help to exacerbate the situation. So